Welcome to VoteProPot-Cast, the award-winning cannabis news podcast brought to you by VoteProPot.com.
Well, hello again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of VoteProPot-Cast. We're really glad you joined us today, aren't we, Jay?
Yes, we are.
There's Jay Britton, and I'm his colleague, Phil Adams. And just a reminder before we get started that this episode of VoteProPot-Cast is sponsored by our friends at cannabis.net. Check them out. You can find them at cannabis.net, and you'll just find all kinds of great content there, and we can't say enough about it. And so, now, Jay, one of the fastest growing segments of the burgeoning cannabis industry today is, and we've talked about this a number of times, the infused beverage market. Fortune Business Insights projects sales of cannabis drinks to top $8.5 billion
With a B.
by 2027. And that's a lot of scratch. Well, here to discuss that with us today is the CEO of BevCanna Enterprises. They're producers and distributors of natural, plant-based health and wellness products, including a line of cannabis-infused beverages. Please welcome to VoteProPot-Cast from beautiful, lovely Vancouver, BC, up in Canada, eh? Let's say hello to Marcello Leone. Hello, Marcello. How are you?
Guys, nice to meet you. Thank you so much.
Now, did I say your name right?
You said it right, eh?
Okay.
Marcello Leone, eh?
Yeah. You know how to spell Canada, right?
We do.
C-A-N-A-D-A.
Exactly. Welcome aboard, Marcello.
Thanks for that, guys.
Nice to meet you.
So how's the weather up there?
Weather's beautiful. Everything is great over here, and looking forward to the end of this crazy pandemic that we've all been going through. So
Yep.
Let's blessings for it to get better and better everywhere in the world.
Absolutely, and that's a wonderful sentiment. So listen, we've had a number of discussions, as I mentioned, here on VoteProPot-Cast in recent months about cannabis-infused beverages. But Jay, mostly, correct me if I'm wrong, it's kind of been within the context of, how shall I say, having drinks.
Yes.
You know, at parties, at bars, etc. But there's more to BevCanna Enterprises than just producing adult beverages, right?
Sure.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, guys, thank you. You know, we come from the beverage space, gentlemen. So we've been in Canada. We are the first federally legal country in the world that launched with pot products all across.
Yeah, rub it in.
We are the innovators up here. And we started off a few years ago where we started off producing, and I put in front of me just so for some visuals for you guys and for the audience, if they want to see some products. We started off here with products that we own our own natural alkaline source in Osoyoos, British Columbia, which is very similar to your Napa Valley.
Okay.
We built a state-of-the-art bottling facility, which is untouched by man, so that the water would go into the facility with no human touching. And we had a state-of-the-art bottling facility, and we went out, and what got my passion into the space was I was introduced to a plant-based nutraceutical concentrate.
Nutraceutical, okay.
Yeah,
wow.
Which is a natural product, nutraceutical, and it's infused with ancient minerals, and it had some really incredible effects on my health. And so I took the charge, and over 5 years, I worked with Health Canada and got the product CFIA approved at the highest level of approvals, similar to your FDA down in the United States. And we launched with, and we are the world's first CPG product that really developed plant-based products. And so we have,
fantastic.
What's beautiful about BevCanna is that this is such an early industry of beverages, cannabis beverages. And as we saw the end of prohibition for alcohol, now we've seen the end of prohibition for cannabis, and it's going to move a little bit faster than the alcohol sector did. And people are really, really excited about this opportunity. And when I started and I developed we developed these plant-based products, infusing the product with these minerals was not an easy task. And making sure that the efficacy of the product would work was something that took a number of years to work with Health Canada. So what's nice about our business is we do CPG products, Health Canada approved. These type of products, alkaline source that you sell, we sell in 3,000 points of distribution across North America. We're going to be shipping into Southeast Asia, and we're going to get ready. And we announced that we're going to start to get ready to launch into the United States as well, in California. And we have a great distribution partner with a very good distributor in California for products to launch in California, Midwest, and East Coast in New York. And then having this experience of building this plant-based, ready-to-drink product that we went from concentrates that we have for nutraceuticals. You can put it in your own protein shakes. You can put it into your own water, etc. Or we wanted to go and put into the ready-to-drink market a ready-to-drink beverage that is infused with the minerals. We then were approached a couple of years ago, and we were talking about the infusion of cannabis. And therefore, we went through that process. It took about 2.5 years to get our license. It's a barrier to entry in the cannabis industry. It's not very easy. It's very difficult up here in Canada. And we have a fully licensed, and we received our license to be able to produce cannabis-infused beverages, CBD-infused beverages, or hemp extract-infused beverages up in Canada as well. And so BevCanna has a nice positioning that we have the opportunity to do CPG in a separate 30,000 square foot facility. And then we do 10,000 square foot licensed facility for cannabis beverages as well.
All right. Sounds like someone wants to call for some cannabis-infused pet products there as well.
Guys, up in Canada, we have a number of rescue dogs, so you got to be with me on this.
Okay,
one.
no, we're rolling with it, man. We love it. We are animal friendly on VotePro-Podcast. Tell us about the cannabis-infused products that you're offering in particular, and in general. Get your insights on the cannabis-infused beverage industry in general. You mentioned that you expect this to move quicker than alcohol prohibition as far as ending it is concerned. Why do you think that?
Well, I think that it's a very familiar format. People are familiar with drinking alcohol beverages. I think there's lots of people that would like to experience the whole cannabis experience without having to smoke a product, having a non-carcinogenic effect on them.
Right.
And I think that what we're seeing in the early days in Cannabis 2.0, you're starting to see that the one category that there's lots of interest and a lot of pull is in the beverage space. So we're foreseeing that this industry, as you spoke to the numbers that they're forecasting, this is the one category that really has a tremendous amount of interest and is pulling in a very strong direction.
Yeah, I think there's some positives there towards the marketing, and that is exactly what you said, in that you don't have to smoke. And it's more of a social experience. But let's talk about the numbers for a minute. I have some numbers here. According to data by Seattle-based cannabis analytics firm Headcast, sales of cannabis-infused beverages in 2020 was up 40% over 2019. Now, that's an impressive number, but
in any industry.
But what you need to read into this is cannabis sales in general were up 40%. So, it pretty much rode the tide with the rest of cannabis products. More interestingly to me is that, and this is what I see as a wide open market. According to their numbers, the cannabis beverages are only about 1%. At least in the United States, of all the cannabis product sales. 1%. Correct. That's a lot of market share out there that's still to grab.
That's there for the taking.
So what do you see? How do you see that market share moving in terms of the total cannabis sales? At least,
and being divvied up.
Right.
Yeah, I see it getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the day. I think you answered it. It's such a new product. It's such a people want familiarization, the format for consumption, the ability to be able to go to a social consumption lounge and actually order a beverage infused with THC or CBD, sit down with your friends, have something to eat. There is so much growth coming. The adoption into national multi-retailers throughout the United States, which is looking up to Canada with the federal legalization of how the compliance and what it's taken to get federally legal up here in Canada.
And here too, even more so here, Right.
You're states by states and what that's right down in the US. And we'll talk a little bit about that because we got a great partner down in the US called Keith Beverage.
Familiarity people have with consuming a beverage compared to, like, especially for people who are new to cannabis or who haven't experienced cannabis in 30 years, the middle-aged moms, the soccer moms who
Right.
I smoked weed a little bit when I was in college, but my kids are in high school now. It's much easier for them to go out and buy a bottle at their dispensary that they can drink, next to the glass of wine or whatever, than it is to light up a joint or do a bong hit or something, So I think that's an advantage for you. Talk about for a minute the infusion process. How do you guys do it?
Well, we infuse with emulsion that we have with the number one emulsion partner that we have named Vertosa. And so it's a maximum amount of dosage that you're allowed to have in Canada, which is no more than 10 milligrams.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the amount that you can infuse and dose into your line for your beverages. So, you look at the production facility that we have, it's no different than a big bottling manufacturer, that whether you're doing sodas or whether you're doing iced teas, it doesn't matter. But then you get through that process of infusing and dosing your product with the emulsion. And that emulsion is critical because there's so many different types of emulsion out in the marketplace. And the right type of emulsion, the best emulsions will give you the best feeling and will give you the impact that you would like to have when you having your sensory experience when you're taking a beverage.
And how about flavor? Does it enhance?
Yeah, that's a big
flavor
issue
as well, because so many of the older infused beverages were
Funky,
a little
man.
grassy.
Funky.
Yeah,
I love it. I love how you guys say it tastes like grass. I get it. And you know what? From a sensory perspective, it's something that people ask us all the time. And when people really started out in the industry and everybody talks about tasteless, colorless, odorless. Did you ever hear those? Tasteless, colorless, odorless.
yeah.
Depending on the emulsion that you have and depending on your formulations, etc., and depending on your sensory taste, you will, depending on the beverage and the brand, you will get a variety of that taste. And you may experience that may have a little bit more of that kind of
grassy.
Right. Well, some people like that flavor. I mean, lots of people like to drink kombucha, which is very earthy flavor. And
some people, alcohol. When you drink your alcohol,
sure,
you have a hard taste. So it's people have to get used to the process. I don't think we're ever going to go completely sensory tasteless.
No,
it's never going to be like a soft drink.
Yeah, because I've had a couple of those from my dispensary, and honestly, I had to chug them down. While we're on the subject of taste, do you know Warren Bobrow? He writes a column for Forbes magazine, I believe, on cannabis. But he is best known probably for a series of books he's written about cannabis mixology. And he has a new series of drinks out now. We had him on our show a while back. And that was a big discussion, was the flavor. And he swore, I've got it down. I can make a drink. You won't taste the cannabis. So
some people say they can do that. We're now getting ready to launch our products here in the next 2-3 weeks. We've tasted a number of products. I'm very much, when I started the plant-based product infused with minerals, that was one of the biggest. When you take the concentrate, if you're going to take it in a teaspoon and just take it, some people like to do that because they want to taste all the minerals.
Right.
But when you're at the ready to drink and somebody's going to grab it and it's infused with water, they want it to taste good. The gulpability has to be there.
Yeah.
Gulpability. I like that.
I think that's a big advantage for you guys at BevCanna. Is you have experience and you have a history in infusing drinks.
Well, we're in the consumer packaged goods, right?
So my point is, infusing cannabis is not a big change for you. You've already been doing it. Most of the guys I've met and talked to, Phil and I have talked to, who are infusing cannabis and drinks, it's a new business for them.
New business.
Sure. I mean, you get a lot of people that are new in the industry. That's why barrier to entry is not easy. Up in Canada, to have a full infrastructure to be able to produce beverages, that's not the easiest thing in the world.
We're
very blessed that we have that vertical and that we're able to offer it to a number of individuals, from a major national client to smaller entrepreneurs. But you're right. It's we have experience with it, and depending on the formulations, because we're a facilitator. Would you like to use a glass bottle? Would you like to use an aluminum cans? Would you like to use our PET? We blow all of our own RPET. We offer all aluminum for you. Phil, would you like to make it with the plastic or the aluminum?
Can you give it to me in a juice box
with a little straw? Yeah, that's more Phil speed.
The little bendy straw.
But what's nice about it is that, and with those formulations when they develop, I have tasted a number of products. And I'm really about taste, because taste is everything. Yep. And I'm still waiting to find that truly tasteless, odorless.
Yeah, me too.
And tasteless products, so that we don't have that little bit of that aftertaste. And we're going to be working very, very hard to try to make sure that with our own products, our own brands like Anarchist Mountain that I have here, or our Groove brand, when our beverages come out, we're working very hard to try to make sure that sensory experience
is a good one.
It's a pleasant one.
Right.
You're going to go, wow, this is awesome. This is a great flavor. This is a great taste. I love the beverage.
You mentioned a few minutes ago, Keef. Now, Keef is a huge producer and distributor. So you guys have partnered with them, as I understand it. You're in Canada. And it's difficult. You can't just ship your products across the state, So my understanding is you've had some acquisitions and some partnerships to help spread your market share into the U.S. Talk about that. A lot of our listeners are business people in the cannabis industry. So talk about how you went about that and the advantages.
When you're looking at the marketplace in North America, and really Canada is federally legal, and the United States is not. But we know that possibly in time that the biggest market in the world is the United States. So we're all keeping our fingers crossed for federal legalization. So what you're seeing a lot of companies in the United States, brands, that are wanting to come up to Canada. And you're going to have lots of Canadians that want to come down into the United States. And the number one beverage brand, when we did our due diligence, based out of Colorado, 10 years of history, last year, number one sales volume and dollars sold, Keef beverages.
Absolutely, they're huge. Yeah,
they are. And when you look at their flavors and you look at
great products too. Absolutely,
they got great product. Kind of like we're very familiar with those products. So from a sensory level, we're familiar. It was just a great relationship. We became partners, so we manufacture and distribute all Keef products for Canada. And so anything you purchase across Canada with Keef is coming through our facility. And then that helped us to build a really good partnership with Travis and the guys over there at Keef, so that when we're ready to launch our beverages down in the US side, we have over 1,100 points of distribution.
Right.
We can tap, and from a manufacturing standpoint, because until you can ship products north and south of the border, we've got great relationships with Keef for manufacturing. And we just signed a really great partner in California called Riviera for bottling as well. So we're set up to be able to produce our own products with the right source, the right water, and the right experience.
Just waiting on the government.
We're just waiting on the government so that we can compete down in the U.S. as well. So that was a very strategic partnership.
A big topic that we're covering a lot here in the United States is these consumption lounges. These are lounges where you're going to be able to go in and buy cannabis products of all kinds and consume them. Because right now, the big issue here, of course, and it depends on the state you're in, but you can go to your dispensary and buy it, but you can't consume it till you get home in your apartment, in your house, wherever, condo. So these consumption lounges legislation is becoming a big thing in California and Las Vegas, Nevada, and some other places, Colorado. I see that would be a big advantage to your business. People could go into a lounge, buy a drink, and consume it while they're relaxing, and hopefully eventually you'll see it in bars. Do you see that happening, like being able to go into a restaurant or a bar and buy it?
Where are we at? We're not even on first base for cannabis products and the evolution of full adoption globally. So do I hope for it? Absolutely. Do we need it? Absolutely. It's only the right thing and the fair thing to do for people that want to be exposed to the products and have the experience with the products. We have to. I hope to goodness that happens. I really do, because it has to happen.
Well, and that would be huge for your sector, I would think.
And I would think that's that strikes me as one of the dominoes that will fall once it becomes federally legal. You know, once it's off Schedule 1,
Right.
and you know, the banks start getting into it, and the manufacturers start getting into it, and the hospitality industry will start getting into it. So, I mean, it's just, but that first domino's got to fall.
Right. I wonder, Phil, if in our lifetime we'll be able to go into our 7-Eleven and buy a 6-pack of you know, BevCanna stuff. And
well, that depends on a number of things, depending on the length of our lifetimes. So we live long enough, we see all kinds of things.
We're going. You guys also do white labeling, so you bottle for other manufacturers or people that have a recipe for a product. They can come to you guys, right, and say, I've developed this amazing recipe for a cannabis-infused beverage. It tastes fantastic. Can you bottle it for me and help me market it? Talk about that. How does that work in your business, and how much of your business is kind of that? I call it white labeling. You might call it something else.
Sure. No, that's a great question. We'd love, I think as we're seeing the interest level as we are today, that white label opportunity could end up being about 85 to 90% of our business, probably.
Really? Wow. I would never have thought that.
Yeah. Because barrier to entry. You got to have a license. You got to have a facility. Then once you as an independent or a company has developed a beverage that you want to be in the beverage space, you've got to find that white label opportunity client that has the license like us. Mm-hmm. And there's only a small handful in Canada, and limited, because many of the us in the white label, how many people can actually offer you cans,
right,
blow your own bottles for RPET, do glass, etc. The form factors. That's a very unique and a significant barrier to entry for others. Once we get the product, then there's a certain amount of MOQs on an annual basis, so it's not prohibitive for anybody, which is nice. And then we have capacity to do over 200 million bottles on an annual basis, so we have very large capacity.
Freaking Budweiser over here, man.
So it would seem like to me that other companies' competition, if you will, is going to come from those already in the bottling consumer packaging industry. Mm-hmm. Because the plant and equipment is going to be a huge barrier. But it sounds like to me you're saying that the bigger barrier is the license.
Well, the license,
because you can't do anything without the license.
The license is the license and the facility. So if you're going to apply for a license in Canada to be a beverage manufacturer, mm-hmm, you got to have the beverage facility ready, up and ready. And then you go and file for your licensing. So you can imagine the amount of capital that is required.
Oh my God, yeah.
Huge. Yeah.
I use the analogy of Field of Dreams. Right. Build it and they will come ahead.
Let me see if I understand this. I'm a dude in Canada, and I've been farting around in my kitchen, messing around with, infusing this beverage. And I've come up with this amazing stuff with, orange juice and pineapple juice and this stuff. And this recipe is incredible, but I don't have any money. I don't have a license. Can I go to you? Or do I have to get a license to you know what I'm saying? I mean...
Yeah, no, you can come to us for the manufacturing, because we are licensed. You will then need to promote your products, market your products.
Sure.
Okay. You will then have to sell your products to the.
So you'd have to have a license for all that. Sure.
And we can help you through our license, so you can do that. But yes, it gives you a really good opportunity to come into a one-stop shop, and we can help you get into business. And so that's a beautiful part of it all.
And you anticipate 85% of your revenue will come from white labeling to companies like that, especially as the industry grows, that segment of the industry.
The interest level of the beverage space,
no question,
cannabis and CBD up in Canada is early days, and it's off the hook. And you made another good point, gentlemen. The big guys that have the big facilities that are already in the beverage space that want to they're going to manufacture their own brands and their own products.
Right. Of course.
They're not going to say to you, by the way, guys, nice to meet you. Come into our, let us produce for you. No, they're out to get market share for themselves.
Yeah.
Sure, of course. The Budweisers and the Coors and they're all jumping on this
Coca-Cola,
bandwagon.
yeah,
Coca-Cola, Pepsi. They wouldn't be putting literally $100 million, some of them, into this if they didn't think this was going to be freaking huge, right? I mean,
exactly, and you've got big companies in the background that are working on they're working on logistics and they're feeling it out. And certain beverage companies that we're familiar with on the consumer side, that's not in the cannabis space, they're testing out products on the CBD side. This is going to be like if alcohol was as explosive as it was, could you imagine where we're going with cannabis?
Right.
And if we can and many of these beverages have CBD in them. So if it can actually help you from the benefit of the plant versus what damaging effects some alcohol can have on you, can you imagine, guys, where we're going to be in 5 and 10 years from now?
Oh, I know.
It's going to be crazy.
I think it's going to be wonderful.
And you've got, if you compare it, your industry to the alcohol industry, you've got this dichotomy. You've got the huge guys, the Budweisers, the Anheuser-Busch, the Coors, the
Legalizations, etc.
But now go into your grocery store, half the aisle is craft beers. So that's what's going to happen
and
in cannabis.
craft liquors,
right?
And that's what about liquor at your WalMarts with the alcohol, with wine and everything that you have?
My point is that there is a lot of room, I believe, in that market share for the little guy. Or, I'm not calling you a little guy, but you're not Anheuser-Busch. You're not Coors. You're not Molson, Pepsi, Coca-Cola. Right. So there's still going to be a lot of room on the shelf for the craft guys coming up with really high quality products rather than the volume guys, So it's going to be a tremendous industry. I believe that wholeheartedly. And it's just at the infancy.
But again, we started to talk about this at the beginning. The products that you're offering or will be offering, Marcello, are really more along the lines of health and wellness as opposed to, the adult beverage.
Health and wellness is critical. If you look right now, what's out in the industry? What are you hearing all the time throughout your day, guys? You're hearing about plant-based. Lots of plant-based foods, lots of plant-based product,
plant-based hamburgers,
right?
Yeah, exactly. What about all CBD products and the benefits of what CBD does for our bodies, etc.? The world has changed tremendously in the last 36, 48 months, and we're only looking to become healthier. And I think that what's beautiful about what we do is we offer healthy beverages.
And you're a healthy guy, right? You're a big runner, or?
No, I used to run, and now I'm a dog walker. So I make sure I find every day and walk dogs.
That's not easy.
No,
it's a commitment.
So is there any crossover in or do you foresee any crossover between the mineral infused and the cannabis infused?
That's a great question. Yeah. I think our plant-based beverage will be, you might see a version of our plant-based trace beverage down in the United States infused with CBD. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
You're gonna see anything that we can add to make it healthier for our end user.
Yeah. So it's almost getting into the patent medicine business.
Yeah. Well, Phil and I are both true believers in CBD as a medicine because we've
absolutely.
Well, THC too.
Well, THC too. Absolutely.
There's people that will say it is a healthy plant.
Yeah.
And what deaths have been allocated to cannabis versus what do we see the damages that were done with alcohol over the years?
Yeah. Let's see.
There's a big discussion.
Yeah, deaths from cannabis. Let me see. None.
Well, let's ask you before we wrap up here. Advice. Like I said, a lot of our listeners are entrepreneurs like yourself, want to be entrepreneurs, want to get into this industry. And we understand what a pain in the ass it is. I mean, how expensive it can be. You've done it. You've done an amazing job with this company.
The regs.
What do you recommend for the guy that doesn't have $1 million or the woman that doesn't have $2 million in the bank? How do you start in the cannabis industry? What's your advice?
Wow, that's a loaded question. You know what? Passion, something that might be unique and or innovative. And if you have passion and you can create something that maybe is a little bit different, a point of difference.
Yeah, there you go.
Then I think that if you're not scared to deal with adversity and failure, because it's going to happen along the way.
It sure is.
You never stop and you keep going. And if you never stop and you keep going and you have developed something and you got a passion and it's something great, there's other potential people out there that would like your idea, and perhaps you can raise a little bit of capital, and you execute your dream and your vision, and you never stop because it is difficult.
Right. And that's just entrepreneurship in general.
Yeah, that's excellent advice. And finally, let's assume that legalization goes through in the United States, federal legalization. How does that change your business model? How does that change what you're doing?
I don't think it changes much what we're doing with the exception of just this. Does that mean that we have federal legalization now, north and south, that we can all ship products together, north and south?
Uh-huh.
That'll be a big one that we still don't have clarity on. And so therefore we navigate as if that doesn't exist. And so you find the way to service your business model that makes sense. You can't be everything to everybody. What I love with us is that we're not a big burner of cash. We're not a big operation that you need $30 million a year of losses or anything like that. We're probably the largest independent specialty bottler licensed in Canada. And as an independent, and then we're not a Constellation, we're not a Molson, but we are definitely positioned for the future, and we just take it one day at a time. We have a point of difference, and if you don't have a point of difference, I think it becomes very difficult.
Folks, we've been talking with Marcello Leone, the CEO of BevCanna Enterprises. Marcello, tell us where folks can get in touch with you.
You can reach us at bevcanna.com. There's an email there that you can reach directly to us if anybody has any questions regarding what we do. If anybody even has a question that wants to reach out to me, they'll get it to me and we'll respond. And we're here for business. We're here to help. And we've all been there. We're all entrepreneurs. We've all been at the beginning, and we all started from a position that we all came from the roots of hard knocks. So
passion and an idea.
Everything's possible.
Well, we're going to include that information on our show description so folks will be able to get in touch with Marcello Leone at BevCanna Enterprises. And folks, as always, if you enjoyed the show, we sure hope you will tell a friend about it, or two or three. Go on to Apple Podcasts, and inside joke, and leave us a 5-star rating if you get a mind to. And Jay is just dying to tell you how to get in touch with us.
You can send us an email at podcast@VoteProPot.com. We have a message line, 240-257-2441. You can leave us a message about anything. You can leave a message for Marcello, and we'll make sure he gets it. So join our Facebook group, and that's about it. What else you got?
And speaking of Facebook and all of the social media platforms, we're there. We're in your face. So is BevCanna. But for us, there's just so much information that we can help you with, and that you would love to be able to look and share and like. Check us out on social media. Just do a search for VoteProPot.